I spent a lot of my life doing what needed to be done, checking things off of my checklist, accomplishing all the things in which I thought would provide me security, stability, safety, success. One day I looked around and I took inventory of my life, and I realized that I was tired. I was working a job in which I was severely overworked and even more severely underpaid. And I realized that this is not the life in which I thought I'd be living. This is not the life that I dreamt of living. This is not the life that I wanted to continue to live. So in March of 2025, I embarked on a journey of freedom, a journey of sovereignty. And what has transpired for me from then until this very moment has been the most challenging, hands down, the hardest, the most difficult experience that I've had in my life. But even more so than the challenge itself, this has been the most rewarding, the most fulfilling, the absolute best thing that I have endured in my 33 years of living. So for this story to make sense, let's backtrack to November of 2024. It was a normal day. I was actually working on said job in which I was overworked as well as severely underpaid. Very normal day. On this day, like a lot of days I worked, I was working longer than I should have been, meaning I should have been at home, but I was still out trying to finish and wrap up that day, and I was very irritated, very frustrated, very like fed up with everything. I had a really emotional conversation with God in my car. I believe I was actually on my lunch. I was taking a later lunch because I had been working. But I was hungry, and so I took a later lunch in my car. And I remember crying out to God, asking for more, asking for better, asking for a sign, asking for change, asking for more direction to my purpose, asking for me to be led down a path that will allow me to be more fulfilled, to be really happy, to be at peace with the life that I wake up and live every day. I did so because I couldn't see myself working this job, let alone any other job, day in and day out. I couldn't see myself working 5, 10, 20, 30 years with a company to retire. I couldn't see myself being able to endure waking up in the morning with my alarm clock, trying to find something to eat, getting in my car, driving to work in Atlanta traffic, getting to work, doing things outside of what I'm being paid for, to work longer hours, to then have to drive home in Atlanta traffic, to get home, to figure out what I want to eat, to cook what I want to eat, to buy what it is that I want to eat, to take a shower, to then try to find some time for me, some alone time, some peace and quiet, to go to sleep, to wake up. I couldn't see myself doing that day in and day out, not having enough time for my family, let alone myself, my friends, my dog, to only utilize whatever remaining I have of Friday and Saturday and Sunday to do things that I want to do for me. That didn't seem like a fair trade-off. And so I simply asked for more. They say, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. In February of 2025, a couple of months later, something happened at work. And I say something because nothing really happened at work for me specifically. In my eyes, I'm a model employee. I get the job done. I do my job. I do the things. I do it very well. I do it in a way in which you may have never seen it before. I do it efficiently, so on and so forth. I go home and that's it. Y'all see me the next day. Something happened at work. Remind you, I'm still overworked and underpaid. And so because of something happening at work, they placed the blame on me, unjustifiably in my opinion. And the consequence for them placing the blame on me was to take money out of my check. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I don't play about my money. In that moment, I knew. I had the conversation with God a couple months ago. I asked for a sign. I asked for direction. I asked for change. I asked to live the life that I sought for myself. And I knew in that moment, this is my way out. Because had that never happened, honestly, I may still, more than likely, I would still be at that job. Probably even more overworked and even more underpaid. But I knew in that moment, this is my way out. And if I don't take it, there's no telling how much longer I'm going to have to sit here. How much longer it's going to take for me to be able to cultivate, again, the life that I've dreamed of. So I sat on it for a little bit because it definitely rubbed me the wrong way. You know, being the employee that I was and to take money from my check makes no sense to me. So I sat on it for maybe a week or so, but I made the decision that I was going to put in my notice. I don't want to work here anyway. You know, I'm doing you guys a favor. And so I put in my notice, not 2 weeks, because though I felt the ways that I felt about the job, I loved my coworkers, I loved the job in itself, I loved the relationships that I had built. And for me to leave with a 2 weeks notice, I felt that was unfair. So still being mindful in a sense, I gave a month's notice. And I remember telling my manager at that time that I was going to be putting my notice in on that Friday. And so she asked, well, what are you going to do now? What happened or what's going on? I told her, I bust my ass every day to make somebody else's dreams come true. I give the best parts of me, most of the best parts of me, to a company, to an entity that is building and expanding off of what it is that they've dreamt for themselves. So if I'm going to bust my ass for anyone or anything or anybody, it's going to be for my dreams, to build the life that I want to live, to make my dreams a reality. And at that time, I could only see myself wanting to wake up whenever I wanted to be able to cook myself breakfast, take my dog to the dog park. That was all that I wanted to do. I just wanted to be in nature and to be with my dog, to be able to wake up without anybody's alarm or without on anybody else's time, and to do the things that I wanted to do. But again, remember, they say be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. March 31st of 2025 was my last day working for the company at said job, that was severely underpaid and severely overworked. Looking back, I had an idea of what it is that I wanted to do. Aside from going to the park, waking up at whatever time, cooking breakfast, I had things in my mind in which would allow me to still generate income, to pay my bills, to be able to sustain what I had already built, aside from me on the journey to freedom and not working a job. At the same time, I can now say with hindsight, I had no master plan. I didn't have anything written out. I didn't have a play-by-play. I just had this is what I'll do. This is a backup plan. I have pivoted before. There have been times in my life where I've made decisions that have changed the course and the way in which I've lived. And even if it was a sharp pivot, I was able to always land on my feet, and I was always able to pick up as if nothing had happened and to build upon and build even more than I did so previously. In my mind, this was the same scenario. So in my mind, I can still generate income with contract work, with gig work. Actually, the job in which I had left, I had originally started out as an independent contractor. So in my mind, the money is going to continue to flow. I had saved money. I had money that I was able to pull out of accounts. So I had a cushion to sit on for about 6 months. Because in my mind, the idea that I had was 6 months is enough time. I can figure something else out, as I've always done. Very quickly, I learned that having no plan, but having an idea wouldn't work. The ways in which I thought I would be able to generate money, I wouldn't be able to do that anymore. because every avenue, every opportunity that came across, it always led to a dead end. They were either not taking any applications, there was a wait list. I would submit my resume, I wouldn't hear anything back. Jobs in which I was qualified for that fit my resume and my experience to a T, I didn't hear anything back. So the resources started to dry up in that sense. I wasn't able to find a source of income. So I was living off of the money in which I had. I had to release the ideas of what it meant for me to be successful, what security looked like, what stability looked like, what safety was. I had to release all of the possessions that only added to the facade that I had built, that society, that family, that friends, that is perpetuated by the systems and the corporations and so on and so forth, that we believe and are conditioned to only accept as this is the way to do it, this is the way to live. And again, they say be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. I asked for freedom, I asked for sovereignty, and only then until I lost everything, I released everything that was attached to me, that was holding me down, that was adding unnecessary weight and pressure on my shoulders, that was not allowing me to see the true beauty of life, of the world, of myself, that was allowing me to be blinded, to walk around with blinders on, which no wonder I'm tired, no wonder I'm overworked, no wonder I'm underpaid. Once I released those ideas, I released the ideas of what it was that I had spent my entire life to build. It wasn't then until I found true freedom and sovereignty. Since 2025 in March, I've been able to understand what's really successful, what really defines success for me. What is safety? What is security? What is stability? I've been able to rest and relax in a way in which I don't think I would have ever allowed myself the opportunity to experience. That's the beauty of it. And that's my journey. And that's what I asked for. But I've been able to achieve a level of peace, a level of serenity, a level of happiness that I never thought that I would be able to, that I only dreamt of. In the midst of all of this chaos, so to speak, I birthed my passion. I created a passion project. I always tell people, if I could do what I wanted to do, I would create a women's empowerment group for Black women, and I would just go around and devote my time and efforts to uplifting, encouraging, educating, informing Black women. In the midst of all of this, when I asked for that direction of my purpose and to gain more clarity, I created Women Personified. I started to host weekly events on Mondays for Black women called A Taste of Freedom, where I connected with some beautiful souls whom I'm still very close with to this day, but I was able to start putting the actions towards the things in which made me fulfilled. I created a TikTok page. I created an Instagram. I've done things that I had been scared to do before. Even this video here, I put my face on camera and I posted it for the world to see, which the me 15, 20 years ago, I would have never have dreamt of doing this. So again, they say, be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. I want to encourage you guys to be intentional about what you ask for because you just might get that and then some.